Mike, you had a relationship with your grandmother like I had with mine.
Yeah.
And I remember when my grandmother was about to leave, and I remember coming back in the room, and I held her in my arm, and I said, Granny, I got it.
Yeah.
I said, you don't have to worry about mama. You don't have to worry about spanking Libby. I got it.
Yeah.
I said, you done your job.
Yeah.
I said, you can go now in peace.
Yeah.
And probably a week later, she was gone. But she
Yeah.
just needed me to reassure her
Yeah.
that her baby
Yeah.
could hold it down.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
now I'm in charge.
Yep.
Your grandmother passed in your arms.
Yeah, my girl, man.
What, I mean, because I slept with my grandmother until I was 15, Mike.
Yeah, come on, man.
I was going to be a sophomore in high school, and I'm sleeping in the bed. When my grandfather died, I slept with my grandmother. My brother slept with my grandfather. My grandfather died in 77. I didn't get out of the bed with my grandmother until 83.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So what she meant, and to see the woman that you love so much that poured everything into you, and the life just leaves.
Man, this girl had been trying to get me to believe in the Lord my whole life. Not that I didn't believe, I just had questions. You know what I mean? Just like, man.
Because you've been an inquisitive kid.
Yeah, I'm just like, man, I don't really get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I remember we was at Sheltering Arms, man. Shouts out to that organization and that take care. My daughter Mikey went there. Now she's freshman in Hampton. They're having a Black History Month because she died in a leap year, the last day, and the guy told us we had to park down and walk up. I said, Mama, you sure? I said, I could drive you up. No, I'm fine walking. And we walked. We got about halfway up the hill, man. And she thought her name was too plain. It was Betty with an I-E. So I called her Beatrice. I said, that's fancy enough for you, Beatrice.
Right.
I said, Beatrice, I'll take you up. She said, no, I won't walk. And we walked, and we got about halfway up the hill, but we had just had an argument. I picked her up, and I'm taking her down there, and her mother had gotten married. And her mother was married to a solid dude. You know, he was kind of dude, coach football, and he had actually coached my youngest son, Pony, and he was involved in kids in the community. So I liked him enough. I told him, you know, if we gonna both father this child, we have to have a relationship. You know, he ain't gonna just get to be over my daughter and we don't talk. We got to chop it up. You my friend now, Bubba. You know. I asked my grandma, I said, why are you talking to me about mother being married? You know what I mean? She said, well, I've been thinking. I was like, what you been thinking? Why don't you just let him adopt her? I mean, you got 3 other kids. I mean, I lost my goddamn mind. I lost my mother mind. I said shit to my grandma. I said, what the fuck you talking about? I'm talking to the woman that used to beat my ass with switches. I'm like, what? Like, what do you, I finally figured my life out. I finally gotten stable. I've gotten married. I have this.
I can take care of it
I can do this now. And after I went on a rant, she said something she never said. My grandmother, she did something wrong on bed. She said, I beg your pardon. You know, I beg your pardon. But she said, I hurt your feelings. I said, yeah, Mama, I'm damn near crying. I said, what you gonna say something like that for? I said, Mother, her name's Michael. Another gonna raise Michael. You know what I mean? That's how I'm looking like, how I'm gonna let another, her name can't be nothing but Michael Render. She said, I'm sorry. And we rolled there, and the guy instructed us we had to walk up. And when she got up the hill, she looked at me, and she looked past me, and she seen something. And I just couldn't take my eyes off her, but I knew I was witnessing in that moment something. And when she seen something, she smiled. And she looked back at me, and she smiled, and she put her arms around me, and she was gone. I was by myself. I was in the presence.
Just that quick?
It was that quick. I was in the presence for that moment of in my spirit, my mother, because my grandmother raised me, I was in that moment with her and with our Creator. And then she looked at me, and it was as though she said, I've done my job. I've done my job, and I'm gone. And I remember attempting CPR on her. And then it was just like the spirit that came over me and just say, I got her. She's gone. And since that day, I have not stopped working. Since that day, blessings have not stopped pouring in. Since that day. And that day made me a believer that I am here for a purpose. I don't know that purpose, but I know I have one. I know I'm on a journey set forth by a righteous and divine being. And man, I tell you, with the utter absurdity of having a mother that's only 16 years older than you. My mother told me in the funeral car, as we're going to the gravesite, she spazzed on me, on my uncle who's autistic, on everybody. Me and Shay in the car, she's like, that shit wasn't fair. You got to be with my mama when she died. And I was like, I didn't want the job. So Denise used to be cursing. I'm like, I didn't want the job. Like, she said, it ain't fair. You think that's your mama. I'm your mama. And one day, I'm gonna be gone, and you gonna realize that. And God damn it, she died on me. She died on me like 6, 7 years later. And when she died on me, it hit me that my mother at 16 years old made a decision like the woman in the parable of Solomon. When they came before, 2 women said, this is my child. And Solomon said, well, cut them in half and give each half. And the one who was really the mother said, no, I give this child to you because it'll be better raised. And that's when I realized, man, I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. My grandmother was such a good mother to me. She was such an impression that I found a woman and married a woman that was just like her. Her and my grandfather gave the second half of their life up to raise me. So you compliment my intelligence, you complimenting them. You complimenting an illiterate man from Eatonton, Georgia, who would sit me in his lap and say, read to me. You compliment the girl from a big family that owned land in Tuskegee that said, I'm gonna take these kids and show them that it isn't about material stuff, but it's about what's in your head and your heart. You took that, but a 16-year-old girl said that I'm gonna allow my mama to raise his baby because he'll have a better shot. Oh man, that's when I really realized, like, I realized that God favors me. And my mother was a part of that favoring, because as much as a mother as my grandmother was, the choice to give me up to her by my mother is probably the most important decision that's ever been made for me. And I wished, Lecrae got me a tip on a song now called Headphones. And if my mother really did have headphones right now in heaven, I just tell her, thank you. Just thank you so much.
I tell people that same story. Yeah. My grandmother, my mom, sending my brother, my sister, and myself to my grandmother.
Yeah.
And my grandmother raising my mom's 3.
Yeah.
And loving my mom's 3 more than she loved her own.
Yeah.
I say sometimes the best decision doesn't involve you.
Man, hard.
And people don't understand. Sometimes you can only sometimes things can only be seen through the eyes that have cried.
Yeah. Hey.
I know this story because I lived it.
Amen.
You know my story because you lived it.
Amen. Amen.
And you have a greater appreciation.
Amen.
Because there ain't no question in my mind. Your grandmother loved you more than she loved her own kids. And that's why your mom said what she said.
Boy, I get it. I understand. Yeah, that's all I wish I understand.
Want to join Club Shay Shay? Become an official member by hitting that subscribe button, where you never know who's going to be joining us for drinks and conversation. Don't be late to the party, because we like to do something before 2 something.